The massive Krivok surveillance vessel hung motionless in the dark side of Luna, its adaptive camouflage rendering it invisible to Earth's primitive tracking systems. Admiral Vextar stood at the bridge's observation deck, his four eyes fixed on the blue planet below. 3 months of covert observation had convinced him that this species would make an excellent addition to the Empire's collection of servant races. "Status report," he commanded, his secondary voice box producing the harmonics that denoted authority in Krivok's speech. Lieutenant Ixel approached with practiced precision. "The preliminary analysis is complete, Admiral. The humans appear to be a Level 2 civilization, barely capable of reaching their own satellite. Their military technology is remarkably primitive. They still rely on chemical propulsion and haven't even developed basic quantum shielding." Vextar's mouth tentacles curled in satisfaction. The Empire had conquered dozens of such worlds, and this one would be no different. Begin the infiltration sequence. Deploy the reconnaissance teams as planned. Across Earth's major population centers, 12 perfectly disguised Krivok's infiltrators emerged from their landing pods. Their biomimetic suits had been programmed with weeks of observed human behavior, allowing them to blend seamlessly into the population. Their mission was simple: assess the planet's defensive capabilities and identify key strategic targets for the coming invasion. In Washington, D.C., infiltrator Zexel, disguised as a maintenance worker, approached the Pentagon's outer perimeter. The humans' premier military installation would be the first target of the invasion, and mapping its defenses was crucial. His biosensors detected nothing more sophisticated than basic metal detectors and surveillance cameras. This would be almost too easy. Meanwhile, in Beijing, infiltrator Reichtal had accessed the underground levels of a military research facility. The humans' most advanced weapons were pathetically outdated by Krivok standards. Their nuclear arsenals, while numerous, would be useless against the Empire's quantum shields. But as the infiltrators dug deeper, disconcerting anomalies began to surface. In Moscow, infiltrator Mexbor discovered that the supposedly primitive human communication networks were far more sophisticated than initial scans had indicated. Hidden beneath layers of outdated infrastructure was a quantum-encrypted system that rivaled some of the Empire's own technology. The first real warning came from Sydney. Infiltrator Kexnel's transmission cut off mid-report, followed by complete silence. Admiral Vextar dismissed it as equipment failure until 2 more infiltrators went dark within hours. "Admiral," Lieutenant Ixel's voice carried an unfamiliar note of concern. "We've lost contact with 5 infiltration teams. The last transmission from Tokyo included some disturbing data. The humans, they knew our agents weren't human." Vextar's confidence wavered for the first time. "Impossible. Our biomimetic technology is perfect. They couldn't have detected." "Sir," a junior officer interrupted, breaking all protocols of Krivok's military hierarchy. "We're detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. They're not matching any known human power sources." Across Earth, humanity's carefully maintained facade of technological backwardness began to crack. Hidden facilities hummed to life, and defense systems far beyond what the Krivoks had observed emerged from their camouflage. In orbit, previously invisible satellites shed their primitive disguises, revealing advanced weapon systems that had been watching the Krivok ship since its arrival. The humans had known they were there all along. Admiral Vextar watched in growing horror as his ship's sensors detected quantum-based defensive grids activating across the planet's surface. The humans hadn't been primitive at all. They had been waiting, watching, and preparing. "Sir," Lieutenant Ixel's voice was barely a whisper, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth's surface." The bridge's main display activated, showing a stern-faced human female in a military uniform. Admiral Jessica Reeves of the United Earth Defense Force spoke with calm authority that sent chills through the Krivok's crew. "Krivok's vessel, we've allowed your observation of our planet to continue long enough. Your infiltrators are in custody, and we've gathered sufficient intelligence about your Empire's intentions. You have 1 hour to leave Earth space, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly why our species has survived countless extinction events and emerged stronger each time. The bridge fell silent as the transmission ended. Admiral Vextar's tentacles twisted in agitation as he processed this devastating revelation. The Empire had walked into a trap, believing they were the hunters when they had been the ones being studied all along. "Admiral," Ixel reported, his voice shaking, "we're detecting similar energy signatures activating on Mars and several asteroids. The humans, they're not just on Earth." Vextar realized with growing dread that the Empire had severely miscalculated. They had found what appeared to be easy prey, only to discover they had stumbled into the territory of a species that had mastered the art of deception on a planetary scale. As the Krivok ship prepared for emergency departure, Admiral Reeves sat in her underground command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the alien vessel's every move. Next to her, General Marcus Thompson allowed himself a small smile. "Think they got the message?" he asked. Reeves nodded, watching the panicked activity aboard the alien ship through their quantum imaging sensors. "They did. But this is just the beginning. The Krivok's Empire won't take this humiliation lightly. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. Then they'll learn what humanity does best," Thompson replied, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's true defensive capabilities. "We adapt, we survive, and we never, ever fight fair." As the Krivok ship fled toward the outer solar system, it passed dozens of concealed human installations that their sensors had failed to detect during their months of observation. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, hiding their true capabilities behind a carefully constructed mask of technological inferiority. The game of deception was over. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was more than ready. The Krivok's High Command's war chamber erupted in chaos as Admiral Vextar's report concluded. The massive holographic display showed Earth's true defensive capabilities, far beyond anything their initial reconnaissance had suggested. Supreme Commander Rilxar's facial scales darkened with rage, a sign of extreme agitation in their species. "Impossible," bellowed General Kaznar, his warrior caste markings glowing with anger. "No species could hide such advancement. Our scanning technology is unmatched in the galaxy." "Evidently not," Vextar replied, his earlier humiliation now tempered with grim respect for their adversary. "The humans have developed concealment technologies that surpass our own. What we thought was primitive satellite coverage was actually a complex network of quantum-shielded weapon platforms." The strategic display shifted to show the solar system, now marked with hundreds of previously undetected human installations. Mars, Venus, and even the asteroid belt bristled with hidden bases and defense platforms. Earth's moon, which they had used as a hiding spot, now revealed itself to be a massive military installation. "They let us watch them," Vextar continued. "Every primitive rocket launch, every outdated satellite deployment. It was all theater, designed to draw us in. And we fell for it completely." In her office at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Jessica Reeves reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The quantum entanglement sensors showed the Krivok's Empire mobilizing their invasion fleet, exactly as expected. "They're gathering their forces near their homeworld," reported Commander Diane Rodriguez, her holographic avatar floating beside Reeves's desk. "Initial count suggests over 300 capital ships." Reeves nodded, bringing up a tactical display of Earth's true defensive grid. "Have they detected any of our Phase 2 installations?" "Negative. The quantum mimetic shielding is holding. As far as they can tell, we're still just a planet with basic orbital defenses and a few scattered outposts." The true extent of humanity's technological advancement would have shocked even the Krivok's High Command. After countless near-extinction events throughout history, humanity had learned to prepare for the worst while appearing vulnerable. Every major nation had contributed to the deception, maintaining outdated military hardware for show while developing technologies that rival species believed impossible. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. James Henderson monitored the quantum probability matrix that powered Earth's most sophisticated defense system. The Veil, as it was called, didn't just hide human technology. It actively projected false readings to any scanning equipment, showing exactly what the observers expected to see. The Krivok ships are using their highest-grade scanning equipment now, he reported to General Thompson. They're still seeing exactly what we want them to see. Thompson watched the complex mathematical patterns swirling across the holographic displays. And our actual capabilities. Henderson allowed himself a small smile. The quantum forge networks are operating at full capacity. Every asteroid mining facility in the belt is producing advanced weaponry, and the Mars shipyards are completing 2 new carrier groups per day. We're ready. In orbit around Jupiter, Commander Nathan Chen supervised the final preparations of humanity's hidden fleet. Thousands of ships, far more advanced than anything the Krivoks had witnessed, waited in quantum-shifted space, invisible to conventional detection methods. Status report on the Prometheus initiative, he asked his XO, Commander Isabel Santos. The temporal physics team confirms the quantum displacement drives are functioning perfectly, Santos replied. The entire fleet can transition to normal space anywhere in the solar system within seconds. The Krivoks won't know what hit them. Back in the Krivoks war chamber, Supreme Commander Rilixar made his decision. We cannot allow this deception to go unpunished. The Empire has never failed to conquer a target world, and we will not fail now. Mobilize the entire invasion fleet. But as the Krivoks prepared for war, they remained unaware of humanity's greatest advantage. The defensive technology they had discovered was just the beginning. Hidden beneath layers of deception was an industrial and military capability that had been preparing for this moment for generations. In the Kuiper Belt, automated factories that had been operating in secret for decades continued to produce advanced weaponry. The moons of Saturn housed massive energy collectors that could power weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. And in hidden bases throughout the solar system, human scientists put the finishing touches on technologies that the Krivoks couldn't even comprehend. Admiral Reeves stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her expression grave but determined. The Krivoks' empire is coming, but not because they believe they can win easily anymore. They're coming because their pride demands it. They've never encountered a species that could fool them so completely, and that makes us dangerous in their eyes. Council President Maria Torres leaned forward. And are we ready for them, Admiral? More than ready, Madam President. Every piece of primitive technology they've seen, every weakness they think they've identified, it's all part of the trap. They think they're preparing to fight a level 2 civilization that got lucky with a few advanced technologies. What they'll actually face is something far beyond their comprehension. As the Krivoks' invasion fleet began its journey toward Earth, humanity's hidden defenders maintained their vigil. The solar system itself had been transformed into an elaborate trap, with every asteroid, every moon, and every seeming weakness concealing a deadly surprise. In his flagship's command center, Admiral Vextar studied the latest scans of Earth's defenses, still unable to shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The humans had fooled them once, and despite the Empire's overwhelming force, he couldn't escape the nagging suspicion that they were walking into an even bigger trap. He was right, but by the time the Krivoks would realize just how right he was, it would be far too late. The Krivoks' invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their 300 capital ships arranged in the Empire's traditional combat formation. Supreme Commander Rilixar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching as his sensors cataloged humanity's apparent defenses. Pathetic, General Kazanar sneered, pointing at the scattered orbital platforms around Earth. Even with their hidden technologies, they can't hope to match our numbers. Admiral Vextar remained silent, studying the tactical display with growing unease. Something wasn't right. The humans had proven themselves masters of deception, yet their defensive position seemed almost amateurish, too obvious, too predictable. "Launch the first wave," Rilixor commanded, his voice carrying across the bridge. "Show these humans the price of defying the Empire." 100 Krevox warships accelerated toward Earth, their weapon systems powering up. Long-range sensors showed human vessels scrambling to respond, appearing disorganized and panicked. Everything was proceeding exactly as thousands of previous conquests had. Until it wasn't. Deep within her command bunker beneath the Mariana Trench, Admiral Reeves watched the Krevox fleets approach with cold satisfaction. They took the bait. Initialized the quantum mesh. Throughout the solar system, hidden transmitters activated simultaneously. Space itself seemed to ripple as humanity's most advanced defensive system came online. The Krevox fleet suddenly found itself entangled in a web of quantum-manipulated space, their faster-than-light drives completely neutralized. "What's happening?" Rilixor demanded as warning signals blared across his bridge. "Why are our ships slowing?" Before anyone could respond, space erupted around the Krevox fleet. The seemingly empty void between planets transformed as thousands of human vessels phased into normal space, their quantum displacement drives allowing them to appear literally anywhere within the battlefield. Commander Nathan Chen's voice echoed across all frequencies. "Krevox invasion fleet, you are now trapped within Earth's quantum mesh. Your faster-than-light capabilities have been neutralized, and your ships are surrounded. This is your only chance to surrender." Rilixor's scales flushed with fury. "The Empire does not surrender. All ships, open fire." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries in both human and Krevox history. The Krevox ships unleashed their full arsenal, expecting their superior numbers to overwhelm the human fleet. Instead, they watched in horror as their energy weapons passed harmlessly through human vessels, the beams distorted by advanced quantum field manipulation. "Impossible." Kaznar roared as another squadron of Krevox ships exploded. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were systematically dismantling the Empire's most powerful fleet. Commander Isabel Santos led the strike on the Krevox flagship, her squadron's ships dancing through space in ways that defied conventional physics. "Target their primary power cores," she ordered. "Let's show them what Earth's primitive technology can really do." The human counterattack revealed centuries of hidden technological development. Weapons that could manipulate gravity itself tore Krevox ships apart. Temporal distortion fields caused enemy vessels to experience time at different rates, making coordinated defense impossible. Every primitive satellite and orbital platform suddenly revealed itself to be a sophisticated weapons platform. In the asteroid belt, Dr. Henderson activated the final phase of humanity's trap. Initiating the Prometheus Protocol, he announced, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Thousands of asteroids that the Krevox had dismissed as simple rocks suddenly came alive, revealing themselves as massive autonomous weapon platforms. They had been waiting there for decades, disguised by the same technology that had hidden Earth's true capabilities. Admiral Vextar watched in horror as the second wave of Krevox ships was caught between the human fleet and the armed asteroids. "Supreme Commander, we must retreat. We haven't just underestimated their technology. We're fighting an enemy that has turned their entire solar system into a weapon." But retreat was no longer possible. The quantum mesh that trapped their ships was expanding, powered by massive energy collectors hidden within Saturn's rings. Every attempt to escape simply resulted in more Krevox ships being isolated and destroyed. On Earth, President Torres addressed the Defense Council as the battle raged above. For centuries, humanity prepared for this moment. We knew first contact would likely be hostile, so we hid our true strength. Every war, every conflict in our history taught us to be ready, to be smarter, to fight in ways our enemies couldn't predict. The battle reached its climax as Commander Chen's forces surrounded the Eternal Dominion. The massive Krevox flagship, pride of their empire, found itself trapped in a convergence of quantum fields that rendered its weapons useless and its shields meaningless. "This is your final warning," Chen transmitted. "Surrender now, or we will be forced to demonstrate our full capabilities." In that moment, Supreme Commander Relixer finally understood the true scope of humanity's deception. They hadn't just hidden their technology. They had created an entirely new form of warfare, one that the Empire, for all its power, was completely unprepared to face. "This is Supreme Commander Relixar of the Krivox Empire," he transmitted, his voice heavy with defeat. We surrender." As human ships began securing the surviving Krivox vessels, Admiral Reeves allowed herself a small smile. The victory wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about sending a message to the galaxy. Humanity had revealed itself not as the primitive civilization the Krivox had discovered, but as a force that had spent centuries preparing for this very moment. In the aftermath of the battle, as debris from destroyed Krivox ships drifted through space, Commander Chen transmitted a final message to the surviving alien vessels. "Remember this day. Remember that humanity didn't just defeat you. We outthought you, outmaneuvered you, and proved that true strength lies not in overwhelming force, but in patience, preparation, and the wisdom to know when to reveal your true power." In the Grand Council chamber of the Krivox homeworld, Empress Nyx Era received the news of her fleet's defeat with dangerous calm. The holographic display showed the devastation wrought upon the Empire's most powerful armada, while intelligence reports detailed the shocking extent of human technological superiority. "How?" she asked, her voice carrying the harmonic overtones of imperial authority. "How did we fail to see their true nature?" The answer came not from her advisors, but from an unexpected source. A human diplomatic vessel had arrived at the edge of Krivox space, requesting an audience. More surprisingly, it had navigated through supposedly secure hyperspace routes as if they were common knowledge. Dr. Rajesh Patel, Earth's chief synopsychologist, stood before the assembled diplomatic corps in the vessel's conference room. "The Krivox Empire's greatest weakness isn't military, it's psychological. They cannot comprehend that they've been outmaneuvered on every level. This creates an opportunity." Ambassador Lucia Vargas nodded, reviewing the detailed psychological profiles of the Krivox leadership. "They're a species that evolved from apex predators. The concept of deliberate vulnerability as a strategy is entirely alien to them. But what's our next move? We show them something even more frightening than our military capabilities," Dr. Puddle replied. "We show them our mercy." In the Imperial Palace, Empress Nyx Era received the human delegation. Ambassador Vargas entered alone, carrying no visible weapons or protection, yet radiating in confidence that made the Imperial Guards uneasy. "Your empire has conquered 57 species," Vargas began without preamble. "Each time, you followed the same pattern: observation, infiltration, overwhelming force. It worked because every species you encountered played by the same rules of engagement. We didn't." The Empress's scales shifted in complex patterns of aggression and curiosity. "You humiliated our greatest fleet. By our laws, we should fight to the last warrior to avenge this shame." Vargas smiled. "But you won't, because we're offering you something no species has ever offered the Krivox Empire: a chance to evolve." Meanwhile, across Krivox space, carefully orchestrated demonstrations of human capability were unfolding. Trading vessels appeared and disappeared at will, their quantum displacement drives making a mockery of Krivox security. Surveillance satellites discovered their most heavily encrypted communications had been monitored for months. Every attempt to probe human defenses led to the discovery that the targets had never really been there. Dr. Henderson, coordinating from the Quantum Communications Center on Europa, watched the Krivox military's increasingly desperate attempts to understand human technology. "They're starting to realize," he reported to Admiral Reeves. "Every secret they uncover reveals 3 more layers of deception. It's breaking their confidence in everything they thought they knew." The psychological impact was devastating. The Krivox had built their empire on the certainty of their technological and military supremacy. Now they faced a species that had not only defeated them, but had apparently been capable of doing so for centuries. "Your empire stands at a crossroads," Ambassador Vargas continued, addressing the Krivox High Council. You can cling to your old ways and force us to demonstrate even more of our capabilities, or you can join us in creating something new. Humanity doesn't want to destroy you. We want to partner with you. The words struck at the heart of Krivox's pride, but carried an undeniable logic. The humans had proven they could have destroyed the invasion fleet completely, yet they chose to accept a surrender. They could have launched a counter-invasion, yet they came offering diplomacy. Supreme Commander Riluxar, still shaken from his defeat, addressed the council. The humans fight like no species we've encountered. Their strategy spans centuries. Every weakness they showed us was calculated. Every strength we discovered was exactly what they wanted us to find. We thought we were the galaxy's greatest predators. But they turned our own hunting instincts against us. In Earth's quantum-shielded diplomatic center, President Torres received real-time updates of the negotiations. The psychological warfare is working, Dr. Petal reported. The Krivox are beginning to understand that their entire concept of warfare and diplomacy needs to change. Ambassador Vargas's next move shocked even the Empress. She revealed that humanity had already made contact with several other spacefaring civilizations, maintaining a hidden network of alliances and technological exchange. The Krivox Empire, despite its size and power, had been operating in what humans called the shallow end of the galactic pool. Your empire prides itself on being apex predators, Vargas explained. But true apex species don't need to prove their dominance constantly. They know when to show strength and when to show wisdom. Humanity learned this lesson through millennia of warfare against ourselves. Now we're offering to help you learn it too. The offer was both generous and terrifying. The humans proposed a gradual integration of Krivox society into the larger galactic community they had helped foster. They would share some of their technology, but more importantly, they would teach the Krivox new ways of thinking about power, civilization, and progress. Admiral Reeves, watching the diplomatic feeds from Earth, understood the true victory they were achieving. We're not just preventing future wars, she told Commander Chen. We're helping an entire civilization transform itself. The process wouldn't be easy. Centuries of imperial tradition and biological instincts couldn't be changed overnight. But as the Krivox leadership began to understand the true scope of human achievement, not just in technology, but in psychology, diplomacy, and strategic thinking, they faced an undeniable truth. Adaptation was their only path forward. In a private chamber after the main negotiations, Empress Nyxera asked Ambassador Vargas the question that had haunted her since the fleet's defeat. How long could your species have destroyed us? Vargas' response chilled the Empress to her core. We never wanted to destroy you. From the moment we detected your first probe entering our solar system, our goal was this conversation right here. Everything that happened, everything we let you see, everything we hid, every battle won and lost, was to bring us to this moment, where we could help your species grow beyond the need for conquest. The human ambassador's words echoed through the palace, carrying with them the weight of a civilization that had mastered not just the art of war, but the far more complex art of peace through strength. 1 year after the failed invasion of Earth, the Galactic Concordat convened for the first time in open session. Representatives from 100 spacefaring civilizations gathered in the massive chamber aboard the orbital station Unity, which had remained hidden in the Oort cloud until this historic moment. The Krivox delegation, led by Empress Nyxera herself, sat in quiet contemplation as they observed species they had never known existed. Admiral Jessica Reeves stood at the podium, her voice carrying across the chamber. For centuries, humanity prepared not just for war, but for peace. We knew that our emergence onto the galactic stage would be a pivotal moment, one that could either lead to endless conflict or mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation. The assembled delegates listened intently as she continued. The Krivox Empire's discovery of Earth wasn't chance. We let them find us. We needed to demonstrate that strength doesn't always mean dominance, That true power lies in knowing when not to use it. In the previous months, the transformation of the Krivox Empire had stunned even humanity's most optimistic diplomats. Under Empress Nyxera's leadership, they had begun dismantling their conquest-based society, freeing subjugated species, and establishing new diplomatic channels. Commander Nathan Chen, now serving as Earth's military liaison to the Krivox, addressed their war college. Your empire saw deception as a means to conquest. Torres nodded, watching the holographic display of trade routes and diplomatic channels spreading across the galaxy like a neural network. And the other hidden civilizations? Are they ready to emerge? More than ready, Vargas replied. Humanity's handling of the Krivox situation has proven we can shepherd this transition. The age of hiding is over. Deep in the Quantum Communications Center on Mars, Dr. Rajesh Patel compiled his final psychological analysis of the Krivox species. Their greatest fear wasn't defeat, he wrote, but irrelevance. By showing them a path to significance that doesn't require dominance, we've helped them find a new purpose. The evidence of this transformation was everywhere. Krivox battle fleets were being converted into exploration vessels. Their military academies now taught diplomatic strategy alongside combat tactics. The very qualities that had made them fearsome conquerors, determination, strategic thinking, and adaptability, were being channeled into peaceful pursuits. Supreme Commander Rilixar, who had once led the invasion fleet against Earth, now served as the head of the Joint Human-Krivox Defense Initiative. We thought we were testing humanity's strength, he told his subordinates, but they were testing our capacity for growth. Every defeat we suffered was a lesson they had carefully prepared. As the Galactic Concordat session continued, more revelations emerged. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for first contact, they had been actively shaping how it would unfold for generations. The seemingly primitive species that had caught the Krivox Empire's attention had been orchestrating galactic politics with a subtlety that defied comprehension. Admiral Reeves and Empress Nyxera stood together on Unity's observation deck, watching ships from dozens of species moving in harmony through space. Your empire sought to rule the galaxy, Reeves said, but we showed you something greater, how to be part of it. The Empress's scales shifted in patterns that would have been impossible a year ago, expressing humility, wisdom, and hope simultaneously. You could have destroyed us, she noted. Instead, you helped us destroy only our limitations. The final piece of humanity's grand strategy was revealed as President Torres announced the establishment of the Galactic Defense Network. The quantum technology that had protected Earth would now shield all member worlds, maintained by a joint fleet drawn from every species. We hid our strength because we had to, Torres declared to the assembled delegates. Now we reveal it not to dominate, but to defend. Not to rule, but to protect. This is humanity's true gift to the galaxy, not our technology, but our understanding that power means nothing without the wisdom to use it justly. As the session concluded, Commander Chen received a transmission from one of the quantum sensor arrays in deep space. More ships were approaching, but not with hostile intent. Other empires and federations, drawn by the news of Earth's victory and the Krivox transformation, were emerging from their own veils of secrecy. The age of deception was ending. The age of unity was beginning. And humanity, the species that had orchestrated this galactic revelation, stood ready to guide the next phase of cosmic civilization. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as teachers, showing the galaxy that true strength lies not in the ability to take life, but in the wisdom to transform it. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the Krivox Empire, it was helping them. And the galaxy evolved beyond the need for victories at all.